Hi everyone, this is Travels by Auntie Jennie, and today we are here in London, but we are visiting Hampton Court Palace, where King Henry VIII lived at.
So exciting, it's so pretty too.
I don't know how many wives. I'm thinking he had 7 or 6 wives, but one of them is Anne Boleyn, and they are the parents of Queen Elizabeth I. Aww. Lift your leg up like this.
They had a bunch of these chocolate lint bunnies all around for Easter.
Good one.
That's cute. That's cute.
Okay, so it's starting to sprinkle. It's actually going to rain, so I'm trying to hurry up in there.
They recommend that you purchase your tickets ahead in advance, and prices for entry were pretty reasonable. For adult tickets, it's £26 and 10 pence. Children between the ages of 5 and 15 are £13, and children under the age of 5 are free. They do offer student, seniors, and even family package deals. Check their website for these deals and plan accordingly.
So here's the courtyard. Let's go see how the 15th century kitchen would look like. So we are walking into Henry VIII's kitchen.
The board of the green cloth, which is a fancier way of saying an accountant, met every morning just like this in this room to organize the daily provisions that are needed at the court.
Look at this. Here's Marie's pasties. They'll have beef, veal, mutton, deer, pheasant, and chicken. Maybe we get it up.
We'll put up the fire.
What is this? Oh, this is where they cook the stew.
Time to start fetching you little beauties out.
Gross.
What is it cooking?
He's cooking stew fowl.
See right here. Put the beef.
What's in here? The larder.
The recording would have been telling us what all these rooms were.
That's ours. So it was meant to make as much as they could of the environment, you know.
Okay.
And they didn't have fridges in those
Like
days.
a
but-
natural fridge.
Yeah,
It's like a natural fridge.
That's right. You've got wet larders and dry larders.
Oh wow.
Wet larders, dry larders on the various rooms. Actually.
Oh, okay.
The gutter down here. Yeah. Okay, I'll take you back there.
Okay. Thank you. Got ahead of ourselves. We didn't get the audio. We just went straight to the kitchen. So now we're heading over to get our headsets. Okay, we're going into the Henry VIII's apartment. And Boleyn's gateway. Boleyn. Right up here. Right. Paragon. Henry VIII's first wife. Humble and loyal.
We're now entering the Great Hall. It's known to gather everyone for dining and entertainment. On a day-to-day basis, 2 meals were served here, one at 10 o'clock in the morning and for supper at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Anne Boleyn is Henry VIII's second wife. After King Henry VIII's first marriage was null and void, he married Anne Boleyn on January 25th, 1533 to May 19th, 1536. And these tapestries along the walls were the originals that were hung during the Tudor times. It is said that Anne Boleyn had a lot to do with the Great Hall. By the time Henry VIII carpenters began working on the Great Hall, they celebrated the new marriage to Anne Boleyn by adding her coat of arms to the roof and carved the entwined letters H and A. Check us out being kings and queens, even if it's just for a moment. This is the exact spot where King Henry VIII and Anne Boleyn sat while dining here at the Great Hall. On special occasions, the Great Hall was used for plays, dances, and masks. It was even mentioned that William Shakespeare and his theater company, All the King's Men, performed A Midsummer Night's Dream and several other plays for King James I, pretty much after the King Henry VIII's time. In fact, they stayed here for 3 weeks to provide entertainment during Christmas time. These tapestries that were commissioned by King Henry VIII were known as the Abraham Tapestries, which show scenes from the life of the patriarch Abraham from the book of Genesis. Right next to the Great Hall is the Horn Room, which was used as a waiting room for the servants of the palace. Here, the servants would stand awaiting to bring food to either the Great Hall or Great Watching Chamber. But during the Tudors' time, it was not known as the Horn Room. It basically got its name when William III redecorated and relocated all the antlers and horns to one room, which is now known as the Horn Room. We are now entering the Great Watching Chamber. Guards stood watch and controlled the access of who can and cannot enter. Only visitors of high rank can enter beyond this point.
So they say that the servants wait here until it comes out of this room, just right there, and it's blocked off.
Did you notice the pillows on the ground? It's laid there for people to look up and adorn the gilded ceiling. They've also provided a mirror for those who don't want to lay down on the pillows. Jane Seymour is King Henry VIII's third wife. She was Queen of England from May 30th, 1536 to October 24th, 1537. These stained glass windows were installed in the year 1845. It depicts the story of Cardinal Wolsey, Henry VIII, and the Tudor royal family. Here is a portrait of King Henry VIII's fourth wife, Anne of Cleves. She was only Queen of England from January 6 to July 12 of 1540. She would forever be known as the Ugly Wife. And here is a portrait of King Henry VIII's fifth wife, Catherine Howard.
Henry VIII was 49, ill and fat when he married the alluring Catherine Howard. He was probably more than 30 years younger. And her reign was brief and no absolutely certain portrait of her survives. This painting of an unknown woman might be her. It looks an image of a pretty ambitious Tudor teenager.
Corrupted church.
The council chamber was a room where King Henry VIII would meet with his privy council almost every day, usually around midday. Palaces weren't just for pleasure. This very room was for the more serious business of the monarchy.
This is the council room.
Duke of Suffolk. Yes, that's Henry Cavill's
For all
room.
the Henry Cavill fans, this is the seat.
With his privy council and his most trusted advisors, some of the most famous matters discussed here were the execution of Anne Boleyn, the divorce of Anne of Cleves, the fall of Catherine Howard, and the rise of the Church of England.
So I believe this is Henry VIII's brother, who was supposed to be the king, but he died. And he was actually first married to Catherine of Aragon, but he died.
This painting is a family portrait of the Tudors that circulated around 1545. The lady on the left is King Henry's daughter with Catherine of Aragon, Mary. The lady to the right is King Henry's daughter with Anne Boleyn, Elizabeth. Right smack in the middle of the portrait is King Henry VIII himself. Next to him is his late wife, Queen Jane Seymour, and their son, Edward VI. We are now entering the Chapel Royal at Hampton Court Palace. It is a working chapel which closes for religious services and other holy days. Here is the view of a monarch when attending church here. The royal family would never sit in the main body of the church. In this casing is a recreated crown that either King Henry VIII or the VII would have wore. The original crown was melted down at the Tower of London in the year 1649 under the orders of Oliver Cromwell.
Hello everybody, this is Travel's Auntie Jennie, and today we are here at Hampton Court Palace. And these are the Queen's steps.
Check out the area here. Isn't it quite different from where we were earlier? Hampton Court Palace is both a product of Tudor and Baroque architectural styles that blend well together. Hampton Court Palace began in the year 1514 for Cardinal Thomas Wolsey, who was King Henry's chief minister. Over the next 7 years, Cardinal Wolsey spent over a great amount to build the finest palace, But after falling from the king's favor for not securing the annulment with Catherine of Aragon, he gave up the palace to King Henry in 1528. Finally, in the year 1689, when William III and Mary II took the throne, they commissioned Christopher Wren to design a new Baroque palace. It said it was to compete against the Palace of Versailles in France. But instead of demolishing the old part of the palace, which was the section where the Tudors resided in, he decided to add and create a spectacular fountain court. This room shows the family tree of the Georgian era. After the death of Queen Anne of Great Britain, who was childless, her successor was King George of Great Britain, who was the closest living Protestant relative. He would be known as the first British monarch of the House of Hanover. We're now in the public dining room. In ancient tradition, it is common for a monarch to eat in front of his courtiers and subjects to show magnificence and good health. This is one beautiful room to dine in. Here at the privy chambers, the prince and princess would sit here and listen to petitions and speeches from head of states of different nations, while the king and queen are out abroad. Here at the drawing room is where everyone gathers to gamble, play games, or have a quick meeting with the monarchs. They actually set some tables out here to show what type of games they usually played. You can even sit down and play a game yourself if you wanted to. Hampton Court Palace even had their own chocolate room. Check it out.
The chocolate room was where Thomas Tozier, chocolate maker to George I and George II, put the final touches to the king's chocolate drink. Valuable serving equipment was stored here. Chocolate was a luxury far more expensive than tea or coffee. It was laced with exotic spices, served in gold and silver chocolate pots, and drunk from porcelain cups. This area around the fountain court was filled with kitchen and rooms for preparing and serving the finest food. Nearby were the confectionery, making elegant sweet items, and the spicery where precious spices were prepared and stored. It doesn't smell like chocolate.
It's a small room.
Mm-hmm.
The fountain court here is breathtaking. We are now entering the great fountain garden, which was supposed to be compared to the Palace of Versailles in France. It's like we're stepping into a different world.
Hampton Court Palace.
Happy Easter.
The gardens are inviting and very well manicured.
Hi, so we're here in the clock court, and there's like a big open space here. Come follow me.
Do you see that big clock up above? Well, King Henry VIII actually installed that clock, and it's known as an astronomical clock, where it tells your time, and it also gives the position of the sun, moon, and even zodiac constellations, and sometimes major planets.
And don't forget to go to the gift shop.
The gift shop is actually where you pick up and return your audio tour equipment. I wish I had a bigger luggage with me. I would have bought some teacups here.
Hey, it's raining now. It's a wrap.
That's it.
Thank you for watching. I hope my video was helpful enough for you to get an inside look on what to expect when touring Hampton Court Palace, the home of King Henry VIII. And if you really enjoyed this video, please click the like button and subscribe to my channel. You can also check out my Instagram and Facebook page. And as always, thank you for watching. This is Travels by Auntie Jennie. Have a great day.